Hi, I'm here today in Maggie Smith Bendell. Is that right? That's right. And I'm really happy to meet her because she is she's known as the Queen of the Gypsies. So, and also it's someone I've wanted to meet for quite a while now. And I've come into her place today, and we're going to talk about what it was like to. She was actually born in a barrel top in a pea field. And she's got 3 books out, and she does a lot of campaigning for the Gypsies, and she goes around all the country talking up for them and different things. But I'm going to hand you over to her because she knows more about herself than I do. so welcome, Maggie.
Thank you.
And thank you for speaking to me today because I've been looking really forward to this. And we're sitting in your chalet day room. We're 5 miles out of Glastonbury. It's about 5 miles, isn't it? Yeah, 5 miles out of Glastonbury today. And we're going to talk about your life, if you don't mind, and how you feel about the Gypsies and everything. And you're very passionate about Gypsies and everything, aren't you?
I'm very passionate about my race.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Can you tell me first of all, you were born? You were born.
Yes, I was born into one of the oldest, or 2 oldest, Romany Gypsy families. My mother was a small black.
Yeah.
Her name was Defiance.
Yeah.
And my father was a Smith butler.
Okay.
And I was born in 1941 on a pea field down at Fairloxton, just outside of Bridgewater.
And you were born in a barrel top. And
no, a square bow.
A square bow. Sorry,
yes,
got that wrong.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And basically, I mean, everybody thinks of it as very romantic, but it's actually quite a hard life, isn't it?
It was fantastic for the children of the Romany families, but it was very hard for the parents because they had to plan ahead.
Yeah.
We would start in the spring of the year, picking the wild snowdrops.
Right. Did you used to sell those?
And we used to sell the snowdrops around the doors.
Okay.
Then we would head for Sturton Woods to pick the wild daffodils.
Right.
And in between that until May, it would be making the pegs and the wooden flowers.
Okay.
And once May come round, we would be pea picking up until about August.
Yeah.
Then we would do Bridgewater Fair.
Okay.
And then head up the A38 to Ledbury to pick the hop season, plums and apples, if you know, whatever was going. Okay. So they had to plan ahead to have work.
And where as far as you went? Do you know what I mean? How far would you go?
The furthest we went up north was Worcester.
Worcester, and what was that to do?
That was round the hop gardens.
Hops, okay.
And places like that. We travelled to Devon. We travelled all over Dorset. Really, we had quite a large area that we travelled.
And this was horse-drawn, was it?
Pardon?
You were horse-drawn.
Horse-drawn. Oh yeah, horses and wagons.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so that sounds really good. So you used to do all that. And then what about food and things like that? How would you get your food?
We never bought meat.
Right.
Because we had dogs that would catch the rabbits and the pheasants and whatever. Okay. Vegetables, we would work on farms. We get plenty of vegetables. Yeah. The only things we really bought was bread, butter and cheese and sugar and that kind of stuff.
So it's quite a healthy lifestyle, isn't it, I think? You know.
We were never ill.
Yeah, not like today.
We were never ill. The only thing we sort of used to get, because we used to drop rag bills to collect the rags in between.
Okay, yeah.
And sometimes we would get like whoop and cough or measles because we'd play in the rags when we were sorting them, but childhood illnesses, we were very rarely ill.
So what about school and things? Did you go to school, Maggie?
Oh, I did.
You did go to school?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, you did.
50 of them.
50 schools? That must have been tough. Always being a new girl. Yeah.
And it was just a few days here, a few days there. I mean, we weren't learning anything because they knew we weren't going to be there long enough.
Right.
But we have clocked up between 50 schools between me and my brother Robert.
Wow. Yeah.
We did 50 schools.
So if you had your time again, what would you think would be a good idea for the generation today with Gypsies? How would you think that the schooling could change?
Oh, I'd love it if we reverted back to the travelling days.
Yeah.
I would. If I was younger, I'd be in one of my wagons and I'd be out there on the road now, to be honest with you. Families were very, very close. They're very close now, but we were closer back then. Relatives meant a great deal because we used to meet them on the road and travel with them and then break off and go.
And meet up in horse fairs and things like that.
We met up at horse fairs and funerals, yeah.
So going back to the schooling thing, what would you do with the travelling children now? What would you do for them?
Well, I'm very involved in Gypsy education and I would like the Romany children of today to go through their full schooling.
Yeah.
To get that education, end up in college and universities. We've had a huge success with some of the children ending up in universities and getting really good jobs, you know.
Yeah, good.
Very proud of them.
Because I feel that there's always been a bit of prejudice towards Gypsy children, hasn't there?
Oh,
you know,
forever, yes.
Yeah, and that's, hopefully it's going to stop, you know, because as you say, it's a different way of learning now, isn't it?
The trouble is we've got to educate the parents to educate their children, and that's a very difficult job. I do speak in schools, especially where there's prejudice and bullying.
Yeah.
And normally it just sort of cools off quite a lot when they meet someone like me, and I can tell them what I went through. And you know, it's not good for our children to be.
Going on the spiritual side of things, I mean, did you ever read cards or anything like that?
No.
No, but did somebody in your family do that?
There are Romanis that can read. They don't need cards.
No.
They can read you
just see you.
and read the future. But me personally, I never really believed in fortune telling.
Right, okay.
I never want to know what was round the corner.
Okay.
I'd rather meet it as it can.
Yeah, okay.
That was just me, you know, my feelings.
Yeah.
There are really genuine Romanis out there that can.
So did you work the fairgrounds, Maggie, at all?
Never.
And you never did that, so you never did that part of it. So, we talked just before we went on film about your dad, didn't we? And about so he comes from a long line of Romanis, does he?
Going back to the 14th century.
Yeah. But what about your mum?
Hers was exactly the same, 14th century.
True blood then.
When they were first discovered in England,
Yeah, so they've got a lot of history.
They had massive history, and I think the nicest thing about it was, because it happened in my day right up until I practically got married, we would be travelling and we would meet other family members or other Romanis from different groups, and we would all sit round the fire, and our history would be repeated round the fire. There was very little written within the Romany because none of us could read and write. And it was recorded within our minds to be passed on and on.
And that's really quite magical in itself, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You know, it's as we talked about just before we went on camera, like things like if you're out there and you're looking at a fire and you come and you feel the walls, and just like in the morning when you go out and it's really early and you know that time of day is quite a magical time of day, isn't it? It's a different.
Well, we were always early risers.
Yeah.
I mean, we would be out on the pea fields at 4 o'clock.
Wow, that's really early, isn't it?
Children, including me, when we were about 3 years old, we were given a bucket, and we'd pick a bucket of peas a day.
Yeah.
Then we could go off and play. By the time you got 5, you'd be asked to pick a couple of nets, because we were brought up to work and to pay our way, which a lot of the settled community just can't grasp.
No.
That we pay everything that you pay.
Yeah. Just
you know, we have to pay everything that you pay.
Yeah. So, did you ever make the flowers?
Pardon?
Did you ever make the flowers, the paper flowers?
Oh,
I can see some in that cup.
I'm always making paper flowers because I give
Is it okay
talks.
to look at them? Is that ones you've made?
The little roses at the back are mine.
Okay.
A friend of mine made the ones in the front, but every time I give a talk, I make bunches to leave behind with the people.
Okay, that's lovely. All right, so now going on to the travellers' rights and things like that. You know, you travel all over Britain, don't you?
I do.
So when was the last time you got called out to help in a situation?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay, that's good. That's very right. So what happened? Can you ask
what happened was a very, very nice family bought a piece of land, and it was in the green belt. And they did get full planning eventually, but the planning agent forgot to put their day rooms on like this.
Yeah.
Because in our culture, we didn't use our wagons, and we don't use our mobile homes for anything to do with cooking, toilets, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's all done within that day room because we were so used to doing it outside.
Yeah, yeah.
So sort of there's two parts to the planning on the Gypsy and Traveller sites. We must have these utility day rooms. And the agent forgot to add them, so I met the family yesterday and spent several hours with them, working out what sizes where and
That's
everything.
really good of you to do that.
Yeah,
And is that a voluntary thing you do?
It is,
yeah,
yes.
and that's good,
yes.
that's really good.
Yeah.
So what's the most challenging one you've been to, when you've had to go out and help a family, would you say, with authorities?
Evictions.
Yeah.
Been involved in evictions.
And have they got quite aggressive?
Very, very. The bailiffs, you know, they can be really bad and disrespectful. But now we do our own filming, secret filming, so that
everybody sees what's going on.
Yeah.
So have you managed to change anything in the sense of like any sort of laws or anything like that? Was anything that become?
Well, we did have a brilliant Lord Avebury, in the House of Lords, and we had several meetings a year with him.
Oh, that's good.
On Gypsy and Traveller
Yeah,
law.
yeah.
He was involved in policy making and stuff like that.
Okay.
But he passed away last year.
Okay.
Although he worked for us for 50 years, he also worked for other ethnic groups and you know, minorities. But now rapidly they're changing the policies to say that if you don't continuously travel in planning terms, you are not classed as Gypsy. If I went for planning today because I'm in my 70s and I don't travel to earn a living, I wouldn't come under the planning guidance.
Right, okay.
They're making it very
difficult.
very difficult.
Yeah.
I think what they're trying to do is to force us into housing.
Which is like,
and then we would lose our identities
wrong,
over time.
Yeah.
But we're very stubborn, we're very traditional, and we will stick it out.
Yeah.
We will stick it out.
Yeah, it's wrong, isn't it, how that goes on and everything. And I'm just looking around and being nosy again. Just noticing some of these pictures. Is it right if we talk about some
Absolutely,
of these?
yeah.
Who's the guy behind?
That's my dad, Leonard Smith.
Yeah, and can we zoom in on him, Grace?
Yeah, I already have.
Do you want to talk through some of these pictures as well? That's another one there. Is that your up there? Who's
That's my husband,
yeah,
Terry, breaking his horse in.
yeah.
And that one at the top, that was taken in the 30s. That's my mum and dad in the middle. And the two lovely people on the outside is Bob and Polly Frankham.
Okay, were they travellers?
Real. The
Yeah.
Frankhams are very, very well known.
Okay. Right, so some lovely sort of memorabilia in here and everything like that. And we've got this Kettle stone. We're going to go and see Maggie's museum in a minute, but is there anything else you want to say at this point? And then we're going to talk about the museum, about the travelling rights or anything?
I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I think we need someone up in Parliament now.
Do you think you could? Do you think like recruiting people to come forward to stand with you when you go to meetings, like other travellers?
They're beginning to come now.
Yeah.
We've got groups all over the country that do the London marches.
Yeah.
They do London meetings, which I used to do, but because of travelling now, I don't get to London as often as I did.
Because when you fill out forms now, they actually do say, "Are you Gypsy?"
Are you Gypsy?
Yeah. And do you think some people don't tick that form because they feel they're going to be discriminated?
Well, we get loads of cases where people have been forced into housing because of lack of site provision, and to save their children from being abused and called names and all this, they don't actually want their neighbours to know who they are. So they're suppressing their real lifestyle.
It's terrible,
to
isn't
save
it?
their children.
It's really wrong.
Yeah.
It's just like
It is absolutely wrong.
It's like, because I know that Hitler didn't like the Gypsies, did they? Didn't like the Jews, didn't like the Gypsies,
No.
and he was totally persecuted. And it feels like we haven't come along that far, really, have we? We're still hiding away.
Well,
you're still hiding, aren't you? In a way,
Coming up through
you're not, but a lot of them are.
a lot of them are. I mean, coming up through the generations, Romanies were sold into slavery. They were hunted by kings, like animals. Back in the 17th century, if you were friends with me, I would be put to death because I was a gypsy, and you also because you associated with me.
It's terrible.
And people say, and I'm very, very passionate about this, that we originated from India. I don't believe that for 1 minute.
No.
When we were first discovered in Scotland in the 13th, 14th century, we were known as Little Egyptians, which I feel was an endearment, and it must have been from Egypt, where we were given that title. And over the generations it got corrupted to gypsy, and the word gypsy was used as a stick to beat the gypsies with. It was the gypsies here, the gypsies did that, the gypsies are coming.
Before we go to your museum, I'm just thinking, how many books you got? 3, is it 4?
I will show you.
Yeah, I'd like to see your books in it. Sorry.
Our Forgotten Years was the first book I wrote.
Okay.
I wanted my mum and dad to be in a book. A Rabbit Stew and a Penny or Two was actually written. It's not a separate book.
How much are these books? How much is this book?
They're from the, I think you can get them on Amazon. That one was written from that one.
Yeah, okay.
And this one, after all these years, I did to let people know I married a Gorgie, a non-Romany, and it was really like our lifestyle together.
Yeah.
But my last book...
Is that you though? That's not you.
Yes,
is
on
that
our
you?
wedding day.
That one. Picture there, Maggie on a wedding day.
Maggie and Terry.
Yeah, lovely. So, this is an accomplishment, isn't it, to do 3 books?
Well, I got one in the printers as we speak.
Yeah.
Called Old Days and Old Ways, and that will be my final book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She says.
I say. Yes.
Yeah, you never know. It might not be. So how did you go about writing your book then? What made you do it? What made you start?
Well, what it was, I've always wanted to write a book, but I couldn't write a book until after my dad had passed.
Right.
Because I revert back to a lot of Romany language, and he wouldn't want that shared. And then I I wrote the book actually before my mum died, but I didn't do anything about it until a very, very good friend of mine called Shay Clipson.
Okay.
She's an ex-Romany Gypsy magistrate.
Yeah.
And she came down here to visit me. And she said, "Oh, Maggie, you should write a book." And I said, "I've done it. There it is over there. It was all handwritten."
Okay.
And Shay flicked through it and she said, "Can I borrow a couple of bits? You can take what you want." And the next thing I heard from the publishers, the Hertfordshire Press University, and they said, "You know, this is history. What you've written is history.
It is history, yeah.
And we'd like to publish it, but we must ask you to rewrite it." And I said, "Oh, why?" They said, "Because we can't understand it. You've written it mostly in your Romany language." And then I rewrote it, and it
really
came
good.
out as Our Forgotten Years.
So, they're really good, aren't they? So, I think this one, isn't that one, somebody said they seen that one in Asda or somewhere.
It's been in a lot of bookstores on railway stations.
Isn't it? I bet you're really proud.
I believe that's the one that got in the top 10 bestsellers.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
well done.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, we're going to end this part of the interview, and I'm going to ask you to say goodbye in Gypsy language, if that's okay. Can you say it?
Yeah.
Okay. No? You don't want to, so on.
Not really.
Okay, all right then.
But I wish you luck with your filming, and I would say to you, Kushti Bok,
Okay.
which in Romany is good luck.
Okay. Kushti Bok. Anyway, we're going to go and see Maggie's museum in a minute, so thanks for watching. See you in a minute. Bye.
Bye.